Hey guys, what's up? This is Ben Golliver for SB Nation. We're here to talk about one of the NBA's breakout stars of this season. That'd be Golden State Warriors point guard Stephen Curry. He didn't make the All-Star team. He was one of the last guys snubbed, and he seems like he's been taking it out on the rest of the league after the break. Just absolutely going on a ridiculous tear here, especially from deep. Let's take a look at a few of the performances, starting with number one, the Indiana Pacers. He goes off for 38 points, including 7 three-pointers, shoots 14 for 20 from the field, and this is against the NBA's best defense, a defense that's always prepared to lock down whoever your best player is. That game actually got chippy. They lost David Lee to a suspension after the fact, and that really set up what was probably the performance of the year from anybody against the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, setting a franchise record by hitting 11 three-pointers on only 13 attempts. And really, he was shooting it from everywhere, shooting it from deep, right on the line, off the dribble. However you want to shoot it, he was shooting it and making it. He just went absolutely berserk, and he also added 7 assists and 6 rebounds to really fill out the stat sheet. That's what happens when you play 48 minutes without the 1A to your 1B, and that's kind of how they've operated this year between Curry and Lee as a 1-2 punch. Since then, he's been solid too. He's put up 25, 30, 26. You name it. Pretty much every game he's coming out there with big point production. And that's because Golden State right now, frankly, is someplace they haven't been in a little while, and that's a serious playoff push. And they've been dropping some games, and they've really been asking more from Curry offensively as they go down the stretch and try to close out a playoff spot and potentially try to recreate the magic of the 2007 playoffs. So let's take a step back. How is Curry doing this? How is he having this breakout season? Well, we got to start with the ankles, of course, because every conversation about Stephen Curry starts with the ankles. One thing you notice about him this year is how confident he's moving, and he's moving everywhere, whether he's on the ball making cuts, splicing through defenses with pick and rolls, whether it's slipping screens, whatever. When he has the ball in his hands, he's moving confidently, he's moving sharply, he trusts his ankles for the first time in years. And you can totally understand that because he hasn't had the same level of sprains, the same surgeries that he's had in previous seasons. Everything's going well. Knock on wood. We want to continue to see that for him because it really is a career changer. It also allows him to move off the ball. He's one of the most active guys in the NBA in terms of running his defender off screens. The Warriors are blessed to have a guy like Jarrett Jack who can handle the point guard responsibilities, the ball handling, and that opens up Stephen Curry to be off the ball, and you can run him off 1 screen, 2 screen, 3 screens, however many you want to run him off. You can run him back and forth across the court a couple of times until he gets open. All of that movement attracts attention away from Golden State's other players, so if it doesn't set up Stephen for his own possible offensive opportunity, it sets somebody else up on the weak side. It's a great weapon, and not a lot of guys move off the ball like that anymore in today's game, certainly not with the level of energy that he does. And again, it goes back to his ankles. You can see how confident he is. You can see where his stamina is at in terms of his fitness level. They're both excellent, and that's what he's really able to do off the ball. So what else is Stephen Curry doing lately? Well, it's not just the shooting. People tend to write off guys like this as scoring point guards and kind of try to use that to knock them down a peg. Actually, Gary Payton, potentially a Hall of Fame point guard this year if he gets selected and inducted, made that comment down at All-Star break in Houston that he doesn't really consider Curry a pure point guard because he's the score-first kind of guy. And I think we're really getting to the point where those kinds of definitions and that kind of parsing just isn't that important. What you really want is a dynamic ball handler, a guy who can get you into your offense and who can score for himself. And certainly Curry can do both of those things. In terms of his passing abilities, I'd say he's probably best in the pick and roll, and he's got a really nice 1-2 game with Lee, like I mentioned before. They have a very good understanding of where their spacing is going to be. Lee can do a lot of different things. He doesn't necessarily need to roll. He can hit that mid-range jumper so he can fade to a spot. Curry has no problem threading the needle on passes. And he can also keep his dribble alive. He has a very, very good handle, so if he gets into traffic, he's able to keep the dribble. He's not necessarily going to lose the ball in that manner, although he has had some turnover problems this season. Usually those kinds of turnovers are coming from just forcing passes or maybe not having a total attention to detail in certain situations. Usually when he's on the ball, he's pretty solid, and he makes good decisions, and he has a nice a tandem going with Lee there. So what else has Stephen Curry been doing great? Well, besides staying healthy, besides knocking down the three-pointers, besides running their offense, besides setting up David Lee, I think it's just his overall efficiency level. Right now he's number 5 among point guards in PER, player efficiency rating, where he's above 20. So he's up there with the likes of Chris Paul, Tony Parker, Kyrie Irving, the best of the best at his position. Like I said, a lot of that's coming from his shooting, but it's just his overall ability level, and that kind of tells you, what they can expect, over the next, say, 3 to 4 years from him, because he's signed that extension in Golden State. mean, they can expect this guy to be developing and playing at an all-star caliber level for the duration of that contract, and that's a total game changer for them. They finally got that building block piece, the guy that maybe some people thought Monte Ellis was. Well, Monte Ellis thought he was. Nobody else really believed him. They finally got that building block piece that they're going to be able to surround with talent as he ages through his 20s, who's actually going to be capable of being efficient enough to make them players in the postseason, down the stretch. And when I look around the league, I see Stephen Curry probably as a top 7 or top 8 point guard at this point. I think you got to take away Chris Paul, Tony Parker, Russell Westbrook, Rajon Rondo, Kyrie Irving, Derrick Rose in some order, and then after that you're putting Curry in a group with the likes of Drew Holiday and Darren Williams in that next group of guys who you really have to consider in terms of the pecking order around the league. That's some pretty lofty company, especially for a guy who some people were ready to write off last year after he dealt with all the injuries. So I think that's where Stephen Curry is at this point. He's definitely a rising star in the NBA. It'll be very interesting to see how the Warriors finish up the season. Hopefully they can ride him to a solid postseason berth and potentially an exciting playoff series, maybe against the likes of the Clippers or the Thunder, depending on how the matchups shake out. It should be a great ride. All right, guys, thanks for taking a look at our video about Stephen Curry. Be sure to subscribe to SB Nation on YouTube and also check out sbnation.com/NBA.